Hey everybody, it's GoblinX and welcome to the Baldur's Gate Arena Open Day 1 event. This is the highest stakes entry level Baldur's Gate event on Arena, the highest stakes event for the Baldur's Gate limited format that is available to anybody who pays the entry fee rather than being an event you have to pre-qualify for. This is going to be a sealed event. I'll be playing in the best of 1 queues, although there's also a best of 3 version of the event if you're more interested in that. And to show off just how high stakes the event is, the entry fee is 5,000 gems or 25,000 gold, about the equivalent of 25 bucks, and you're going to get pretty much nothing if you get 4 or less wins. You get a cute little card sleeve, but other than that, no gems back until you get at least 5 wins, and at 5 wins, you still only get 1,000 of your 5,000 gems back. At 6 wins, you're getting half your gems back, and if you make it to 7 wins before 3 match losses, that's where you're really in the money. You are getting all of your gems back, and much more importantly, you are getting entry into Day 2 of the Arena Open event. Day 2 is going to be best of 3 draft only. There's no best of 1 queues Day 2, and if you manage to get 3 wins in the first draft, so 3 wins in your best of 3 draft before you get a single loss, then you get to play a second draft on Day 2. If you get into that second draft and get at least 1 match win in that second draft before you get a single match loss, that is when you will be in the money. You get, I believe, 1,000 bucks if you win just a single match in the second draft. If you win 2, I think you get 2,000, and if you win 3, I think it's 2,500. So that is where you're really in the money. That is where your entry fee is going towards. If you play the Arena Open a couple times and just fail each time, well, your money is just getting distributed to somebody who managed to actually Day 2 and win the draft. So that is just a big showing of how competitive this event is. You get pretty much nothing unless you Day 2. That is where you start getting some value. So really high stakes event here. I'm going to be trying my absolute best. I've done a decent bit of practice. Definitely have done more draft practice than sealed, just because I'm not that big of a fan of sealed. I will be trying 3 times to get into the Day 2. So if I don't get it in my first attempt, then tomorrow's video is going to be another Arena Open Day 1, and then the day after that could be another Arena Open Day 1, and if we Day 2 on any of these, then I will be playing the Arena Open Day 2 event as well. So without further ado, let's bust open our packs. Hopefully we open some really good stuff and I can immediately just shoot my way into Day 2, but we'll see how good our sealed pool is as we open up these packs. We'll play the new sleeves, set those as our defaults here. Alright, how are our rares looking? They look really bad. Really bad. They are 3 color cards, a completely unplayable colorless card. This is a Wrath effect that people can just spend 2 mana to stop it from popping off. When it comes back to your upkeep, you can just choose not to pay the 2, and then it will pop off and exile everything. But the problem is you'll play this, pass turn to your opponent, they'll play 2 mana and get to keep their best creature no matter what. So it's really unplayable and limited. A slow Wrath effect that your opponent gets to keep their best creature on board against. Not going to make the cut. Gorian Wise Mentor is a very specific, very narrow card that is much more for Historic, Brawl, and Commander than anything else. Very unlikely we get enough adventure cards for this to be good in a sealed pool, and even in draft I have never seen this card do anything for anybody, but you have a little more flexibility there to try to draft around it. Jan Jansen, very similar to Gorian. You need an artifact-heavy deck, ideally a deck that makes a lot of treasure tokens. You can start converting those treasure tokens into 2 1/1s apiece. That could be pretty good. But again, 3 color card, you need an artifact-heavy deck as well. Not generally worth the 3 color restrictive mana cost required for it. And then Mirim's Sentinel Worm is probably the best of those 3, just because there are a lot of dragons in the set, and green being one of its colors makes it a little more easy to splash it in, because green does have some multicolored mana producers in the set, as well as some mana fixing cards that'll pull out a land of any type from your deck. So green will have the easiest time splashing this in, and it is a 6 mana 6/6 flyer with Ward 2, making it hard a little harder to target it, even if you don't get any value out of the secondary effect. It's a big game-ending card, so this one's a little interesting to me. It's certainly not very great, but it's solid if we end up in green-blue or green-red and we want a big dragon to splash in. And if we get this out before we start casting other dragons, we'll start duplicating every dragon we cast, which could be pretty insane, but if you land a 6/6 flyer with Ward 2 and it's not immediately destroyed, you're probably winning that game anyway. But yeah, that's the next best rare after those four. After that, next best rare after that is probably Imoen. We're working our way up from the worst rare to the best rare. I think it goes Franglein, Gorian, Jan, Miram, then Imoen. Trickster Fiend, 2 mana for a 2/1, cannot be blocked as long as it's attacking alone, and you can specialize for 5 or specialize for 3 if you have 2 or more instants and sorceries in your graveyard. Specialize being a mechanic unique to the set where you have to discard a card of a certain color at sorcery speed to flip this card into the specialized version of that color. So if you flip on mono blue, then you're getting a 3/2 that can't be blocked, period. And every time she deals combat damage to an opponent, you can exile an instant or sorcery engrave to tap down a creature an opponent controls and keep it tapped down. All of the other colors of Imoen are very similar. They're going to be a 3/2 that cannot be blocked, period, that can exile an instant or sorcery from your graveyard every time you're dealing combat damage to get a small effect, get a 2/2, get 2 damage to your opponent, get a +1/+1 counter, draw a card, something like that. So Imoen's actually pretty nice, one of the better blue rares in the set. But then the best rare we have here, I think, is Karlach, Raging Tiefling. 2 mana for a 2/2 first strike is already going to be a good aggressive card for a red deck, which is what red is trying to do. And this one has a really interesting specialize ability where you can specialize it from your graveyard. And if you do specialize it from your graveyard, you bring it back to the battlefield. And you're going to be bringing it back as something like a 4/4 first strike haste with an additional ability that could spit out a 2/2, could make it so a creature can't block, could bring an instant or sorcery back with it, could draw some cards, could give another creature +4/+4. So really nice aggressive specialized ability, a really nice one that's giving you like a 2-for-1 value where when you get into the late game and you have a bunch of mana and you top deck another land, all of a sudden your random little 2/2 first strike you were playing with earlier in the game becomes relevant again and gets to start attacking your opponent again. That being said, this card is really only for pretty aggressive decks because the specialized version can't block, but still a great card, and almost every red deck in this format is going to be aggressive. So not the worst sealed pool ever, but far, far, far from the best. 4 of these rares are cards I would really rather not have. Even Miram, don't love getting the tri-colored rares, but definitely Franglein, Jan Jansen, and Gorian are almost a 0% chance of ever getting played in sealed, in my opinion. So don't love that, but we'll see if the commons and uncommons can make up for it. I'm going to take a look at the colorless cards and multicolored first, and then we'll work our way back through the different colors, see what we have going on. So for colorless, we have double Pilgrim's Eye. I do love that. That can help us splash whatever kind of colors we need. If we do want to do that like green, blue, red kind of dragon thing, this is going to be a very important card for us, a very helpful card for us. It's a 2-for-1 effect where we're getting to play a creature, even if it is kind of a mediocre creature, and get a land into our hand at the same time. So getting a 1/1 flyer and a land into hand off of just the one card is pretty nice. Very much a fan of those Pilgrim's Eye. Lantern of Revealing I'm a little lower down on, but it's fine in sealed. I would very rarely play this in draft. Because this format is pretty aggressive, and in draft you can much more easily make those aggressive decks that will really punish somebody for just tapping out for a mana rock on turn 3. That being said, in sealed, this can make the cut if you need more things to help you splash in your third color, and you don't have a bunch of mana fixing, so fine card there. Spiked Pit Trap is if we don't have any removal in our main colors, we can play this, but it is kind of mediocre removal. We would rather just have better on-color removal, but it's an option if we need it. When we look at our multicolored, are there any cards really leaning us towards anything? Miram leans us slightly towards green, blue, red. Corlesso would work fine in the same kind of deck that a Miram would. A 2-mana 1/4 can block all the early game 3/1s pretty well, and this can also potentially get us some dragons off the top if we have a high dragon count. Kaga's Shadow Archdruid. 4 mana 1/4. Whenever it attacks, it gains Death Touch line of turn and mill 2. Once during each of your turns, you can play a land or cast a permanent from among cards in your graveyard that were put there from your library this turn. This is probably fine in sealed. Wouldn't really play this in draft. This is a very slow card. Very slow card. Doesn't block super well. Sure, it's got 4 toughness, but it's not like blocking with enough power to kill anything. But you could get lucky and get some value off the attacks. This might be fine in sealed. I don't see this as a huge reason to lean into black-green, though. And then next up, we have Lozan, Dragon's Legacy. This is a pretty great card if we're playing dragons and adventures. Every time we're casting a dragon or adventure spell, we're dealing damage equal to the mana value to any target. Any target that isn't a commander, but that last line of text really doesn't matter in limited. That'll just blow up anything. So if we have a Lozan on board and we just spend 2 mana for a Scaled Nurturer, a little 2 mana dragon creature, we're dealing 2 damage wherever we want it, killing a 2/2 from our opponent. Lozan's a pretty nice card to go with Mirum if we go for the dragon deck, and then we have Minthara, which is a really great card if we get to go for a nice aggressive white-black deck that has a lot of creatures that are trading off early or a lot of treasure tokens, because Minthara is going to start giving our board +1/+0 every time one of our permanents leaves the battlefield just once per turn. So if one of our creatures trades during our turn, all of a sudden the intensity moves up. Now all of our creatures get +1/+0. And then if we sack a treasure during our opponent's turn, now it goes up to +2/+0, and so on and so forth. Minthara can stack up pretty nicely, turn all of your 2 mana 2/1s with double team into 4/1s or 5/1s later in the game to keep them relevant, keep them fighting with your opponent's bigger cards. So Minthara is a really nice black-white card. I think Minthara is probably my favorite of all of our multicolored cards, followed by Lozan, followed by maybe Kaga, just because we have 2, and then like Corlessa. I think the sliding scale of power goes left to right here, left being the strongest. So cool stuff there out of the multicolor, but nothing so massive that I really want to lean a particular way. I do want to keep blue-red in mind. I do want to keep white-black in mind if we have the cards to support those. Start taking a look at our individual colors. I like that we have a ton of white because white is probably the strongest color in the format, and one of the strongest cards in the format is Patriarch's Humiliation. This is a pretty creature-heavy format, so it is not hard for Humiliation to have enough creatures as backup to blow up whatever target you need, and when it doesn't blow up what you need, it will at least shut off all of its abilities. So triple Humiliation is really nice in white here. That's going to make me want to try pretty hard to play that color. We also have a decent aggressive curve here. We have the Steadfast Unicorn on turn 1, this being a great card because it's relevant at all points in the game with that pump ability, so I will definitely play Steadfast Unicorn. Portable Hole is generally pretty good in the main deck, definitely in draft. I would still main deck it because this format is more than aggressive enough that pretty much all players have to be playing cards that cost 2 or less just to survive the initial onslaught. However, sealed can be slower. A lot of players just won't have the opportunity to play that many cards that cost 2 or less, or people will be a little less worried about playing that many cards that cost 2 or less. This is a little bit more coin flippy in sealed, where there will be times where you draw this and don't have any targets for it. So I don't know if I'm going to start with that in the main deck. If my card quality in white isn't just like absolutely incredible, this will probably make the cut, but for now, I'll leave it in the side. We do have triple Humiliation already filling out the removal slot, so don't know if we need Portable Hole yet. Flaming Fist Dustguard's a really nice aggressive card, 2 mana 3/1, gives your next creature that you cast +1/+0. Rescuer Twinger is solid. You play it as a 2 mana 2/2 if you just need to curve out, or it can save one of your creatures from removal later in the game, especially enchantment-based removal, because then you don't even have to respond to the removal spell. You can just draw this 20 turns after your card gets Charmed Sleeped and pick up your creature and recast it still. So Twing is really nice. Soldiers of the Watch is fantastic. 2 mana 2/1 that puts another 2/1 in your hand the first time it attacks. So 2 creatures off of that 1 card, even if they are pretty mediocre size, is still a pretty great deal. We have Steadfast Paladin, great for racing other aggressive strategies, big fan of that. We have Valiant Farewell. This is a fine combat trick. I'm not going to start with it main deck, but if we really want a combat trick or really need a combat trick, we can slap it in here, give something +2/+0 and draw a card. And if that creature dies, you also give the next creature you cast +2/+0. You Hear Something on Watch is a card that has played really well for me in this format, way better than it did the first time. Kind of similar to the Steadfast Unicorn, where this is such a creature-heavy format, the boards get so cluttered that there can be opportunities where your opponent will block like 2 of your attacking creatures with equally sized creatures, and all of a sudden Rouse the Party becomes incredible, giving your whole field +1/+1. But then Set Off Traps as well is fine removal if you end up on the back foot. So this is a decently flexible card in this format where it used to be not that exciting. So I think I would start with double You Hear Something on Watch and here over a Valiant Farewell or a Portable Hole coming in. I'll just start with both the Hear Something on Watchers there. Celestial Unicorn is fine. If we get some more life gain in another color, I'll probably slap it in, but currently we have 1 card to gain life, Steadfast Paladin, which is not enough to really justify the 3 mana 3/2 stat line. Flaming Fist Officer, cards like this and Unruly Mob that get bigger every time something dies always feel like they play too slow for me. They can become really big as the game progresses and take things over later on, but they just start pretty small. They don't block or attack super well if you need immediate impact, so they're always slower than I like to play. But I have seen them go off. I'm not really going to start with the main deck. Rasad here, really, really nice card. It's a Banisher Priest or a Brutal Cathar, creature that enters the battlefield and exiles an opposing creature until it dies. And if you have the mana to specialize it, you can specialize it into the white version, which makes it so even if your opponent blows up your Rasad, their creature comes back as a 1/1 with no abilities. So really, really nice card here. The other specialized versions I think are a little weaker. I find myself using the white version of specialized the vast majority of the time. But the other specializes are interesting as well. Then when Rasad dies, they get their card completely back and you get 2 1/1 flyers, or they get their card back and you get a 4/1 menace, or they get their card back, you get 3 1/1s. They get their card back, you get 2 2/2s. Generally, I always find myself preferring just the mono white version of Rasad there. Double Devoted Paladin is nice with an aggressive curve. Again, very similar to the Steadfast Unicorn and the You Hear Something on Watch. Creature heavy format where giving your board +1/+1 and the Vigilance plays really, really well, especially the Vigilance, so you can be getting this big attack in and still blocking. So I like Double Devoted Paladin. I'll play that in the deck. And we've got a Ranger Squadron as well we could put at the top end. This card, one of the weakest cards I put in, but fine card at the top end. If you can get this out and it doesn't get immediately shot down, 2, 3, 4 flyers, pretty big way to end the game. Guardian Naga is interesting. I definitely prefer Ranger Squadron, but this card's fine. It's main deckable artifact enchantment removal. Don't think I'll start with that in the deck, though. I think these are the white cards I'm the most interested in, and it looks like a really nice start to a deck if we have some good support in another color. Ideally, we're just looking for some more 2-3 mana creatures, and we've kind of just got a deck there. Be really cool if we could get some good black cards to go with this, so we can use that Minthara to great effect. But yeah, we don't even need great removal. We just need a pretty high creature count to make sure Patriarch's Humiliation, Steadfast Unicorn, Hear Something on Watch, and Devoted Paladin's abilities will all work quite well. So really just looking for a lot of creatures from our second color. 5 removal spells already. Don't really need any more to cover that slot. Very excited by how our white looks. We'll see how our other colors look now. Taking a look at blue, weakest color in the format, but it does have one of our strongest rares, Imoen Trickster Friend. That's weird that it's Trickster Friend and not Trickster Fiend, but okay. We'll take a look at how a blue-white deck would look here. Probably doesn't look great. I do like the Young Blue Dragon and the Imoen a lot. Frost Giant is fine. Nice big body with that ward effect. Other than that, gets pretty filler with a Water Weird being filler, Pseudo Dragon Familiar being filler, Clever Conjurer's pretty filler, and then Charm Sleep, which is just pretty actively bad because it's really bad against Rescuer Tringa or Flicker style effects. There's also main deckable artifact and enchantment removal, such as Guardian Naga, you line up the shots, Jaheira, Baleful Beholder, all kinds of stuff that just blows up your Charm Sleep, so that's pretty bad. So in order to make a 40 card deck, we'd have to run that. We'd also have to run this mediocre counterspell. And then we're still not at 40 cards, so we have to put like our Portable Hole in or something. Really not a fan of the kind of filler we're having to put in to play blue, so that's probably not going to happen, even though we've got an Imoen. Move on to black now. Guildsworn Prowler is a beautiful 2-drop. This card's really, really frustrating to play against, but it's pretty solid to play with. A 2-mana 2/1 Death Touch. Whenever it dies, if it wasn't blocking, you draw a card. So you get to play this out and just attack with it every turn, and it's going to put your opponent in a rough position where they almost never want to block this card. Because if they do, you're getting a 2-for-1. You're killing their creature and drawing a card off of this card. And if you ever need to block with it, it still blocks well. You're just blocking their 4/4 with your 2/1 Death Touch, and you're still trading it up, even if you aren't trading it into getting 2 cards of value off of it. So Guildsworn Prowler is insane. Armor of Shadows is actually a pretty solid combat trick I've found. Giving a creature +1/+0 indestructible is played pretty well, so we might play that as well. Grey Slat is not good unless you're a dedicated self-mill deck. It just takes too long to get the 4 creatures in your graveyard, where most of the time this is a 3-mana 4/1 that trades down into a 1/1 Sapperling token, or just a 1/1 anything, 1/1 Goblin token, stuff like that, so really don't like the Slat. I do like the Nefarious Imps. Flyers are pretty good in the format. Being able to scry one whenever any of your permanents leaves the battlefield is some nice added value there. So I like the Nefarious Imps here. Definitely like the Sewer Plague, nice instant speed removal, giving your creature -2/2 permanently, and an additional -1/1 each upkeep. It's going to kill pretty much anything pretty quickly. If they play a 4/4 and you use this during their turn, when they try to pass to your turn, you turn into a 2/2, you draw for turn, it turns into a 1/1, you pass turn back to them, and it dies. So that is just how quickly this can kill things that are even bigger than 2/2s, and obviously it kills 2/2s immediately. Ooh, Skullport Merchant is incredible. This is a great way to take over a long game. A 3-mana 1/4 that comes with a treasure token and lets you sacrifice a creature or treasure for 2 mana to draw a card. So if you get into a long game position, this is going to draw you 1 card off that treasure, and it'll draw you a card every time your opponent tries to use a removal spell on one of your other creatures. You can just draw a card in response to that happening and be up a card every time your opponent uses removal, unless they use removal on the merchant itself. So this card plays really well the longer the game goes on. Hook Horror is fine. It would be okay with the Skullport Merchant here. I think I would play Armor of Shadows in here. Summon Undead, not the most exciting in this color pair because we're not getting anything that big out of this. Maybe we get a Devoted Paladin, maybe we get a Ranger Squadron, but probably not worth the 5 mana, because if we play a 5 mana card and on average it gives us a 3 mana creature, it's a pretty bad deal. Baleful Beholder's fine. Main deckable kind of enchantment removal that could give us a big menace swing to close the game out. There's Eyes of the Beholder, which is okay, and Sealed we can play slower removal like this, so we would probably play that, and then Minthara as the final addition to the deck. That would kind of be the black-white deck. I do like the look of that. The other thing we can consider is we do have the double Pilgrim's Eye that we could absolutely play if we really want to. Pilgrim's Eye would be fine in here. Don't have a ton of like big stuff I really want to ramp into. I think I'd be pretty cool with like 1 Pilgrim's Eye over something else in this deck. I don't know, I think I like keeping it as is for now, this white-black build, and then taking a look at our other colors, definitely before we lock in on that, but I do like black-white a lot. That looks like a pretty great deck overall. Moving on to red now. Red is where we would try to play a really aggressive deck, which our white does a good job of doing. 4 2-mana creatures, a 1-mana creature, a 3-mana creature. We've got a Dragon's Fire for cheap removal. Slam that into here. Double Mephit's Enthusiasm for cheap removal. That'll get things out of the way and give our next creature we cast additional power if we blew something up that has less than 4 toughness. That card's really good. Removal. Karlach, we've already spoke our piece on. That is a great card. Reckless Barbarian would fit in and help us get more aggressive. Kind of filler though. Goblin Trap Finder does the same. Just gets in there, plays kind of aggressively, but it's relatively filler. It's not very exciting. Swashbuckler Extraordinaire is pretty solid. It's going to give us a treasure token when we play it, which we can use to ramp into a bigger card early, or give one of our cards double strike until end of turn. Double Valor Singer is great. These can make sure once our opponent starts playing 2/3s that block all of our 2-mana 2/2s well, we can still keep attacking in with them because we buff their power up to 3 to attack in. So I'd love Double Valor Singer. Provocation's not a card I really play unless I have a lot of sacrifice outlets, so not really unless I'm in red-black, even if I am pretty aggressive, not that excited about it. Then we have Unexpected Windfall. So red does look pretty good. We get a Gate to Tumble Down as well. If we want to just try to aggro people out of the game, Red looks really spicy here. We're only a 15 creature deck though, which is kind of a little low for an aggressive deck, but our non-creature suite is incredible. It's really cheap. 2 Mephit's Enthusiasm, 2 You Hear Something on Watch, Dragon's Fire, triple Humiliation. Could even, if we have any more filler white creatures, we could put one in just to be more aggressive, like put in a Celestial Unicorn or something here, just to up the creature count a little bit, and then cut a land, because our curve's pretty low with all of our mountain at 2. Really like how the aggressive red-white deck is looking here. Really try to just outpace all of the slower sealed strategies. I expect a lot of, 3 colors kind of splashy stuff to be happening, because that is a general sealed strategy. This puts us up to 16 creatures now. A lot at 2, a lot at 3, a little bit at 5, 6. Average mana 2.4. We can definitely play the 16 land build here. This looks really nice. So this deck can really, really punish the slower decks. Our black-white deck's a little more mid-range. It definitely has more longevity to it, to where if we get into the late game, we are more likely to win, but this deck can just more consistently just slam face in the early game. So do we want the strategy that's more narrow and just better at what it's doing? It's just really good at trying to be really fast. Or do we want the deck that can kind of play a long game, play both games? It can play that hyper aggro, but it can also play a decent long game with some of its later game cards like Skullport Merchant grabbing us extra value, some more 6-drops and stuff in the deck. I don't know. I feel like I would prefer the more flexible strategy like the black-white one, even though this red-white one looks really good. We do have a nice bomb of Karlach, but Minthara kind of works as a bomb too in the black-white deck, so the bomb count's pretty similar. These both look pretty sweet, red-white or white-black, but we've got one more color to check here. Let's take a look at... Alright, taking a look at our green now. We've got a Scaled Nurture to ramp into our bigger plays as a 2-drop. That brings us up to 5 2-mana creatures. Arcane Archery is a pretty solid combat trick, even though it's kind of an expensive one. It's a pretty massive impact. +3/+3 reach trample is going to win pretty much any combat it gets into. Then it's going to give your next creature a +1/+1 counter, a reach counter, and a trample counter. So Arcane Archery's played pretty well. Owlbear Shepherd is a nice way, similar to Skullport Merchant, to take over a long game by drawing a bunch of cards. You have to have 8 or more power on board, but if you do, drawing an extra card every turn is really hard to beat. Got Follow the Tracks here, but I would prefer just like running some Pilgrim's Eyes and stuff, where we're still getting a creature on the board and drawing a land out of our deck, even if it's not ramping us up immediately. It's giving us a 1/1 that can block 3/1s and stuff like that, or just chump block. Circle of the Moondruids are very fine. I guess these are good with Owlbear Shepherds. They're going to have 4 power on the board during our end step. That's going to be most of the power we need for that. Yeah, play Circle of the Moondruids. They block as a 2/4, they attack as a 4/2. Pretty fine. Specifically just like it for the Owlbear Shepherd combo there. Play Understellar Myconid for sure, get a Sapperling out of it, tap it for a mana of any color. Inspiring Bard is fine, 4 mana 3/3 gain us some life if our opponent's aggressive, and if not, we get some extra damage in. Ettercap's a pretty annoyingly sized blocker, a 2/5 blocker can block a lot of things pretty well, but I think I like Double Devoted Paladin over Ettercap at the 5-drop, and we're about to put an Owlbear in, which I definitely like better than Ettercap. And then Hill Giant Herdgorge is a great card to ramp into. Big old 7/6 that gains 3 life. This is kind of similar to our black-white deck, where it's got a lot of longevity in late game now, which I'm pretty excited about. I might even like this better than the black-white deck. I think I'm going to compete between the black-white and the green-white deck here, actually. Throwing the Pilgrim's Eyes as an option here. This deck definitely runs 17 lands, though. So let's see. We've got 6 non-creatures, 20 creatures, cut 3 creatures out of this deck, and we have a 17-creature, 6 non-creature deck. Very standard stuff there. I did get 2 other ways to gain life. We definitely take Unicorn out now. Even with 2 other ways to gain life, it is pretty filler at that rate. I totally forgot about the Unicorn. That is another thing to consider in our white-red or a white-black deck. I don't think we cut the Unicorn in either of those. We could cut it for something else, though, but it would be something pretty mediocre because it would be something that we left in the sideboard initially. But yeah, we can definitely cut Unicorn here. Really like all of the 2-drops, our weakest being probably Scaled Nurturer. But I do still like it. Love Double Pilgrim's Eye, the Myconid, the Shepherd. Circle of the Moon Druids work really well with the Owlbear Shepherd, but they're not like great alone. Maybe we could cut one Circle of the Moon Druid, one Pilgrim's Eye. Maybe we cut the Ranger Squadron, although I like having a lot of top end here. I think I like the splitting the difference here, going the one Circle of the Moon Druid, one Pilgrim's Eye. And that would be our deck for green-white. Does look like a pretty exciting deck to me, though. Nice quantity of 2/3 mana creatures early game to just start bashing in with. And a couple nice late game creatures like Owlbear, Hill Giant Herdgorger, Ranger Squadron to still play out the long game. I do like that a lot. I'm going to go ahead and add the mana base here and save this deck, and then we'll take another look at the black-white and compare those images and see what looks best between the two. All right. $14 white, 8 green, so we want another white source. We do have gates in our sealed pool. I believe we have a green gate. We do. Play a green gate over the 8th forest. Only have one double white card, so I think the 9-8 split's pretty good here. Didn't have any green, white, gold cards. Did have a Minthara we could try to splash in off of Pilgrim's Eye, grabbing a swamp or something. Be okay, actually. We could do some kind of 3-color hybrid deck. We do have double Pilgrim's Eye. Lantern if we really need it. What were the black cards we really wanted to play? Mainly Skullport Merchant and Minthara. Both we could kind of splash in. Black does give us Guildsworn Prowler as well, though, for a straight black-white deck. Suppose it's possible we throw a Minthara in this deck, throw in one swamp. We have double Pilgrim's Eye, a swamp, and an Underseller Myconid to get there. Which seems okay. Don't think we can splash in Skullport Merchant nearly as easily. The problem with Skullport Merchant is we need to always hold up like a black mana, which is pretty hard to do when it's our splash color. I mean, I guess it's not like we're splashing in and off of treasure tokens, so if we have the black source, we have the black source. Like we have an Underseller Myconid, or we have a swamp from a Pilgrim's Eye. This card's pretty bad to splash in off of treasures, but if we're splashing in and off of basics and a Mana Dork, I guess it still kind of works. Could be a fine splash. The black gate? No, we don't. Could use our follow the tracks as well. That'll put a black gates into play if we're trying to mana fix for it. Trying to rotate through the spellbook, not trying to get a card style arena. Yeah, the black gate there is an option off of follow the tracks. I don't know if the black splash is worth it. Because generally, when you move to start splashing, your deck's going to get less consistent, it's going to get slower. So when you do start splashing in some cards, you want to really make sure those cards are high value. Those cards are super high impact and are going to win most of the games they get cast. That way, it averages out to where Your deck is getting more powerful by splashing in instead of just getting more slow. And I don't know if Skullport Merchant and Minthara do that. They're both really, really solid role fillers. Minthara's a pretty big bomb that will probably close out games if she's not killed. Skullport Merchant will draw us a couple additional cards. We don't really have a bunch of treasure production and stuff. They probably do fit that role, just not in a very direct way where it's like an Hourglass Covenant or something where I just play it and win on the spot, or Lysel where I play it and win on the spot. I would be way, way quicker to try to splash that kind of stuff. These are not quite that level. So I really don't know. It's definitely an option, definitely a solid option too. What did I cut for these Pilgrim's Eyes if I'm just playing green-white? I guess I was still playing one Pilgrim's Eye in this deck. Just to help more consistently hit 5-6 mana. Yeah, that's what I was doing. Okay. I'm going to save this green-white deck for now. Or more accurately, I'm going to take a picture of it. I'm going to look side by side. The green-white versus white-black, and then probably the hybrid between the two. Maybe take another look at red-white again. It's a very high-stakes event, so the deck building is going to be probably half the video. I want to make sure that I am running the deck I feel most confident with. Running with the deck that feels like one of the best strategies and one of the strategies that I'll play at my best with. Take a look at black-white again now. Get a Minthara here. There's a Pilgrim's Eye in this deck I didn't have before. Is there anything else I just put in that I didn't last time? I guess I didn't play Armor of Shadows because I have a high non-creature count. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that leaves us 16 creatures. I could cut Pilgrim's Eye instead though and keep the Armor of Shadows in. Does save a Minthara or a Skullport Merchant from Grim Bounty or something like that. Seems fine. I do like Pilgrim's Eye though, again, getting us to our 5-6 drops more easily. And obviously in black-white we don't have any ramp, so Pilgrim's Eye just assuring the next land drop is nice. Very nice with Skullport Merchant, because it's very expendable to sacrifice it. Okay, let's get a snapshot of white-black. Thank you, Snipping Tool. Very cool. And now we go for the much more complex green, white, black. What do we want to do there? I think it's just going to be, if we're going green, white, black, we only have Understellar Myconid and double Pilgrim's Eye for the splash. I guess we have a Lantern as well. Still really don't feel like that means that we go full 3-color. I think it's still just splashing black for Minthara and Skullport Merchant, most likely. Maybe even just Minthara. If I splash for just Minthara, it should really not be that hard. I don't think our deck gets that much less consistent doing that. Throw a Skullport Merchant in for now, though. Could play a Sewer Plague, but I think I have a lot of on-color removal just in white. 5 removal spells. Does not seem necessary. Seem like an option. Alright, I'm probably not playing Follow the Tracks. Even in Sealed, it is really painful to take a turn off spending 3 mana to not affect the board in any way, which is why I really prefer Pilgrim's Eye, Understellar Myconid for mana fixing, and why I don't really want to play the 3 mana Mana Rock also. So I think that is going to be my first cut, and that makes us want to keep that Black Splash down as small as possible. If we cut the Circle of the Moon Druids here, they seem like one of the creatures that makes the most sense to cut. Even maybe a Scaled Nurture, since we are running double Pilgrim's Eye now. The problem with cutting double Circle of the Moon Druid is now it's actually kind of hard to get 8 power on board for Owlbear Shepherd, I think. I guess we could just have enough 2 power creatures to get there. But like, we've got a lot of 1s and 2s in terms of our creature's power level. Owlbear Shepherd probably still just makes the cut, and then we're just hoping to have, I don't know, a 3-1 in Owlbear Shepherd and a 4-4 down, or a couple 2-2s and then an Owlbear Shepherd and a 4-4 down. Yeah, with our chunky high-end stuff, Owlbear Shepherd probably draws us cards late game. It just doesn't start triggering that quickly. Still good though. Yeah, I feel like double Circle of the Moon Druid's probably one of the first cuts. Skullport Merchant's a potential cut. Scaled Nurture's a potential cut. I don't feel like Scaled Nurture is all that impressive here. Yes, it does give us another mana on the board, but Scaled Nurture, unlike the Myconid, it's a mana dork that isn't really ever attacking or blocking well, so it feels like it has similar problems to cards like Follow the Tracks, where it's not really affecting our board state. And I guess it's only 2 mana though, so it's a 2 mana card that doesn't affect the board state, which isn't as painful. But the other thing is this deck doesn't really need to like skip over mana costs. We can just go 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop, 4 drop, 5 drop, 6 drop. The only slot that we don't really have covered is 4 mana. There's only 2 4-mana cards, but on that turn we can play a removal spell or something, and another 3-drop, like we'd go Pilgrim's Eye, Patriarch's Humiliation or something like that. And then on 5 we're spending all 5 mana, 6 we're spending all 6 mana, so we don't really need to like jump up mana costs with Scaled Nurture, like skipping over our 3-drop into our 4-drop. We just need to make sure we have enough mana. We don't actually really need to like ramp and play things early. And Pilgrim's Eye accomplishes that. It makes sure we have the lands to play cards. We'll just have to play only 1 land per turn, not exactly jump over any mana costs. I think I'm cutting Scaled Nurture, and then we have 25 cards, so we have 24 non-lands. So if I cut Skullport Merchant, we can call it a day, and then this is the 3-color build. This is the Splashing Black build. I'm pretty fine with that. I mean, we could run a little bit of a high creature count and cut Archery and keep Merchant. Really like Archery, especially with these lifelinkers, but just with all the 1s, 2s, and 3s here getting into combat. Even just blocking with a Pilgrim's Eye and casting Archery is hilarious. Then again, we have double here, something to watch in Humiliation. Filling a similar role, dealing with opposing creatures. Giving a Devoted Paladin like a +1/+1 counter, trample, and reach is huge though. The secondary effect of Arcane Archery is pretty big after the combat trick. I don't know if this is right, but I think I want to cut the Merchant and keep the Arcane Archery and run a 17 land deck here with double Pilgrim's Eye. I'm gonna run that one swamp, and then more plains than forests. Do like that, I guess. Do have double green cards late game. We do want to hit double green for Owlbear. Only one card that requires double white in the whole deck, and that's Ranger Squadron. I guess we can even split our white and green, even though we have a lot more white. Our green's more color restrictive, although our green's also later game. We have double Pilgrim's Eye that can help hit a second green source if we need it in hand. Yeah, I guess I will still go with the 9-7 split plains to forest for those reasons. Oh. Okay. Take a look at this deck. I'm going to look at it alongside those pictures I just saved of the other two. Okay, look at it compared to just the regular green-white. So we cut from our previous green-white build, we cut a forest to add a swamp. I cut a Circle of the Moon Druid for a second Pilgrim's Eye, and I cut a Scaled Nurturer for a Minthara, or the other way around. That seems fine. Actually, I feel like this is probably better than just the straight green-white. Seems pretty great to me. Yeah, I think I'm going to cut the regular green-white deck out of contention here, and it's between green-white, black, black-white, or red-white. Didn't take a picture of red-white, though. Okay, so this versus black-white. In black-white, we have a more aggressive curve. We have better flyers. We also have a Skullport Merchant trying to win the long game. So more aggressive curve because we have a Guildsworn Prowler at 2 mana in addition to everything we have here. And then at 3 mana, we have double Nefarious Imp getting in there in the sky. We also have a Sewer Plague and Eyes of the Beholder in the non-creature slot over Arcane Archery, which means our deck plays a little better against bombs from our opponents, because it's just got better removal. Less situational removal. With Humiliation, we need to have enough creatures on board, and if you hear something on watch, they have to be attacking. But Sewer Plague, Eyes of the Beholder can pretty much always kill anything. Then we get a Beholder. So those are all the advantages to the black-white over the green-white. What are the advantages to green-white over black-white? Can grind out some really good late-game value with Owlbear Shepherd potentially drawing us several cards per turn. Owlbear drawing a card the second hits the board. Hill Giant Herdgorger can really stabilize against more aggressive strategies. We still have the Minthara in the deck for the bomb power provided by that, potentially. And we can try to really overwhelm our opponent with a big late-game creature, either with Arcane Archery onto a mid-range creature like Inspiring Bard or Devoted Paladin, or just Owlbear, Herdgorger, or Squadron being really big late-game creature. We don't really have any overwhelming creatures in the black-white deck for late-game. Biggest it gets is 1/6/5 Beholder. I like both. I like the black-white and I like the green-white splash black a lot. Huge fan of both. Think I'm going to roll with green-white splash black for now, and this time I'm late enough in deck building, I'm actually just going to save that. And then look at the red-white deck. And if the red-white deck seems worse to me, then we can exit deck building without saving the deck. And I'll still have my green-white-black build at the ready. So, I mean, we have a great aggressive curve in red-white, but we do have some creatures that are just, like, fine. We don't have the really good ones. Yeah, the biggest advantage to the red-white deck is, like, we really have that aggressive curve down. We probably cut a Pilgrim's Eye. I'd like to cut 2 Pilgrim's Eye, but I think Goblin Trap Finder is probably just a bad card. It's pretty good if it hits a Pilgrim's Eye out of our deck. And then we play a 1-mana Pilgrim's Eye that gets sacked at the end step. It's not bad at all, but I guess we'd run 16 lands. We definitely run 16 lands for this deck. But yeah, like we have the really aggressive curve here and we have the Karlach, but then we're running like Reckless Barbarian and Trapfinder, which are both really whatever. If this was like Kobold Warcaller, Genasi Rabble Rousers, I'd be really excited about this deck. Trade out one of these Valor Singers for Giant Fire Beetles or something. But the creature quality here isn't monstrous. Like we could have games where we just curve out and it just still doesn't matter because our opponent like can just stabilize with better creatures. We have a lot of removal to try to prevent that from happening though. Double Enthusiasm is one of the most exciting things here. Blowing up an opposing creature, making sure our next creature has a ridiculous amount of power for its cost. But yeah, I just don't love the card quality here. Or the creature card quality specifically. Are there any other white creatures we could put in? Again, there's the Unicorn. We can play Unicorn over Trapfinder, which is probably worth it. Maybe even run a Flaming Fist Officer here, weirdly enough, over Unicorn. Just really doesn't feel great. I could throw a Minthara in here, just Pilgrim's Eye into Mintharas. That's the plan. Feels not great though. 2 Pilgrim's Eye, 1 Swamp, 3 black sources. It's pretty inconsistent. Karlach double Mephit's Enthusiasm is so good, and Dragon's Fire is solid. Play Windfall gets us some treasure tokens for Minthara potentially as well. We could play Portable Hole if we're getting that aggressive. That can get some cheap creatures out of the way. Actually, like revamping this deck a bit towards the black-white. There's 1 land in here that's 28 non-lands currently. We cut Trapfinder for sure. Just white splashing black and red. A black gate. I don't think we do. No, we had red and green. The problem is all I want to cut here is creatures, but I don't want to cut the creature count low if I'm trying to be super aggressive. Like I want to cut maybe Barbarian, Windfall, a couple Valor Singers, and just be like white splashing red and black. But yeah, then our creature count just falls too low to be aggressive, which is the whole point of the color pair. I guess we get rid of You Hear Something on Watch. That still works good offensively for the +1/+1. We pretty much never want to be doing the deal 5 to an attacking creature thing. So the other non-creatures are probably better. Humiliation, Dragon's Fire, Double Enthusiasm, Portable Hole. Fit 2 more creatures into this deck. I don't know, it just feels like the curve and the creature count just kind of falls apart when we try to start doing splashing, or we try to start upping the card quality here. It's just really not going to lend itself to aggro. Put a Unicorn in, I guess. Because it's on color, it's our primary color, it's really easy to have that mana. Keep the Singers, those were our best cards we cut. This is a 16 land deck now. Double Pilgrim's Eye. So we can have a low mountain count and then just like 1 swamp. Maybe 2 swamps. The removal suite is very sweet. It's very true. just feel like our green, white, black has really nice late game, and it still has most of the good early game because most of that is the good white cards, so it's just more flexible, it's just more mid-rangey. It's really solid stuff at all points of the game instead of really kind of running out of gas later potentially, like this deck could do. Get stabilized on pretty hard. Well, I think I'm going to make a decision here. I think I'm going to go with the white, green, splash, black. I think that's the deck I like the most. It's this one right here. Alright, after about an hour of deck building that'll probably be edited down a little bit for you all, we have the final deck I've decided to go with. I think we had a lot of really great ways to go. We could have been white, red, white, black, white, green, or white, green, splash, black, white, red, splash, black, any of that kind of stuff, but I've decided to go for the white, green, splash, black. I think this deck has the most going for it at all points of the game. It has the aggressive white starts that we've got off of Steadfast Unicorn, and then 4 nice 2-drops, Flaming Fist, Dustguard, Rescuer, Chwinga, Soldiers of the Watch, and Steadfast Paladin. Once we start getting to the mid-game, we have a lot of great setup cards. We have Removal from Rasad, potential card draw engine of Owlbear Shepherd, and then the ramp/mana fixing off of Underseller, Myconid, and double Pilgrim's Eye. From that point on, we just start dropping some big bomby kind of threats. Inspiring Bard is another kind of mid-range sort of card to keep us in the game, gain us some life or get some extra damage going. But then we have Menthara, which is a big bomb if we can keep getting the intensity to rise. And then Owlbear, huge card that draws us a card. Double Devoted Paladin that buffs the field, gets extra damage in. Ranger Squadron, and Hill Giant Herd Gorger for big game-ending creatures. When you look at our non-creature slot, we've got some pretty good removal. Triple Patriarch's Humiliation. We're a pretty creature-heavy deck. We also have 1 double teamer and 1 token producer with Soldiers of the Watch and Understar Myconid, so this is going to be great. And having 3 is excellent. We also have double You Hear Something on Watch, which is really nice getting into combat, getting to buff your whole field if that's going to let you win some combats, or if you're on the defensive, being able to blow up an opposing creature is nice. Nice flexible card there. Then we have the Arcane Archery, which is nice because we can use that as a combat trick to make our creature win the battle, and then the next creature we cast is going to be a massive threat, even if it's just like an Inspiring Bard. All of a sudden, instead of a 3/3, we're playing a 4/4 Reach Trample. So really big fan of this deck. I think it has the most going for it, again, at like all angles, at all corners of the game. Great removal, great card advantage with double Pilgrim's Eye, Owlbear Shepherd, Owlbear itself, that kind of stuff. Really feels like this deck is going to be our best deck for competing against the widest variety of decks. It should be solid against aggressive decks, solid against later game value piles. So without further ado, we'll see how we do in the first run of the Arena Open Day 1. Here we are in Game 1. Our opponent is on the play, so we're on the draw. That means we have 3 draw steps to hit a single land. And if we get there, we have Pilgrim's Eye and Underseller Myconid, which is going to give us access to pretty much everything in our deck, so I'm going to keep this hand. And we get the land immediately, and it's a tap land, so a great card to play turn 1. Playing against green-red here, they're going to start with a turn 2 Null Hunter. They will be hitting us a little aggressively here. We didn't draw any of our 1 or 2 mana creatures. I think we only have 5 total. 1 1-mana card, 4 2-mana creatures. There's the Rescuer Chwinga. Not going to do much of what we want it to do here. So we can Pilgrim's Eye here to know we hit our land next turn, or we can Myconid, which can ramp us up, and it puts a Saproling down. Saproling doesn't really block the Null Hunter, but we could threaten to block with a 1/2 and a 1/1. Although we would never do that, so we need that mana. I think I like getting more creatures on the board here, and we can just Pilgrim's Eye next turn if we don't hit a land, and if we do, we could Devoted Paladin. And then we have a big enough blocker for the Null Hunter, as well as getting to hit in with our Saproling token. Bam, together. They're going to blow up Myconid, that's fine. Now we just have 2 Saplings we can use to double block Null Hunter. And I still have the Pilgrim's Eye to hit the next land drop. You could use another burn spell to keep their Null Hunter alive, but that would probably be a waste. Even a combat trick here, I'm not really worried about. because trading our 2 Sapperling tokens into a full-on card from our opponent is a pretty good deal for us to win the value game over the course of the game. So now I can Owlbear Shepherd if I want to stop taking damage, but I'm still at 17. Still have more than enough life to spare here. I'm going to grab my second plane so we know we can play this Ranger Squadron coming up. Unfortunate part about this is now we're down to only 2 black sources in the deck, a Swamp and a Pilgrim's Eye, because they did blow up our Myconid. 4th mana from our opponents, and they're going to pass turn. Well, pretty happy to just play a Devoted Paladin here. It's going to get us the 2 damage in with Pilgrim's Eye and hold up a big old blocker. Three cards in hand here. If they have an instant, now would be the time to do it. We are tapped out and they have 4 mana up. Unexpected Windfall it is. Discard a card to draw 2, discarding Scanos. They just don't have the 5th mana for that. Dragon Vessel. So now they have 2 treasure tokens. It means they could play splashes. They could play up to a 6 mana card this turn. Even a 7 if they hit a land here. And that Windfall did kind of get them back in the game here. Got them some good value. Those treasure tokens are pretty huge. And now they have 4 cards in hand total. So not that far behind in terms of card advantage. We've just got 1 more card in hand than them. And they're going to slam down an Earth Cult Elemental. Each player sacks a permanent. That is huge for us. That's going to be brutal for them, having to sacrifice a land here, where we can just sacrifice Pilgrim's Eye. Absolutely brutal luck on their Earth Cult Elemental there. Not a good position for them. Tempted to get greedy here and just play Owlbear Shepherd and Arcane Archery our Devoted Paladin in, because then we'll have exactly 8 power on board. But then we're taking a hit from Earth Cult Elemental. Probably supposed to just hold on to Archery for a block against Earth Cult Elemental. So we just play the Owlbear Shepherd and hold up Archery. We also have Rescuer Chwinga available if they try to blow up Devoted Paladin with some kind of burn spell. Although I guess we can also Arcane Archery to save it from burn spell, but if they use like Incessant Provocation or something to try to steal it for the turn, make sure we don't get hit that way. Should probably start playing full control so our opponent never knows if we have a trick or not. Just make it stop every turn. A little annoying to play, but it's the best way to play if you're in a competitive event like this, so your opponent can't just hard read and know when you have combat tricks. But yeah, I guess it's already basically full control right now because we have 2 instants in hand. Just in the future, play full control when we don't have instants. This could be bad. They have all of their mana up here. They could Arcane Archery in response to our Arcane Archery. Nice. So they're going to use Dreadlinorm to kill our Owlbear Shepherd, which means we have free range to Arcane Archery here. That's going to make that a 5/5. So Arcane Archery won't kill Null Hunter, but it will save Owlbear Shepherd from dying. We probably just accept defeat with the Owlbear Shepherd and just kill the Earth Cult Elemental. Now, playing Ranger Squadron. They have a Dreadlinorm on an adventure, but they only have 4 mana, so that's not a big deal. Yeah, I think I'm Ranger Squadroning. Good old 4/5 Ranger Squadron. I forgot about the boon. We may have wanted to play differently if we remembered the boon here. Alright, take 5. Okay. Need to have 2 mana up, so I can afford to use this before I do anything. If I don't want to just immediately cast another Ranger Squadron, which I think I don't want to do. Young Red Dragon's going to create a treasure token here. That is fine by me. Ooh, Humiliation. Not going to kill a 5/5 Null Hunter, but that will be good in the future as we play more creatures. Wish I tapped a little differently here. I should have tapped differently because we don't have any green 1-mana cards in the deck, but we do have white 1-mana cards in the deck where we want double white up this turn. That was an error for sure. So they go down to 10. Do we just Chwinga to flash block here? Or do I play Steadfast Paladin to lifelink block? We're definitely blocking, because I don't want to die to some kind of wild double strike trick or something like that. There is a double strike trick in the set. It's the 2-handed axe. You know what? I guess we go Chwinga? Because it's possible they're going to try to do the double strike trick, and then we could like negate it with Humiliation. And then if they don't do the trick and they just play Young Red Dragon this turn, we can flash in a Chwinga and have 10 damage on board and just immediately kill them next turn. Mephit's Enthusiasm. That's rough. That's really rough. I guess we are just going to Chwinga here then. Alright, we definitely don't have lethal next turn then, which means I think we chump. And I guess we could hit for 8 off of Paladin's ability next turn. But again, not lethal, and we definitely lethal in multiple swings. Probably should have played my land next turn, or last turn, rather than just bluffing around with it. Didn't affect any immediate plays, but it does affect what I can do this turn. I guess it doesn't. I can still play Paladin, Steadfast Paladin, and Humiliation. Yep, that's where we're at for sure. Hit for 5, and we have the blocker up for the Young Red Dragon. Now we drop Steadfast Paladin and hold up Patriarch's Humiliation, which can do 3 damage. If they try to blow up our Ranger Squadron, we can still make sure we don't take any flying damage. Warriors of Tiamat. Alright, we're good. We just kill them next turn. I guess not quite. We don't have lethal in the sky. They have 2 blockers on ground. If they attack at all, we just kill them on board. And if they don't attack, we blow up Warriors of Tiamat and attack all and kill them still. Because they block Devoted Paladin with Null Hunter, and then they take... okay. That's suspicious. They're dead on board. Alright, they're just going to scoop them up. They were just hoping we go for a chump block there, maybe lose a creature and don't have lethal anymore. Alright. 1-0 to start it off. I don't think I curved out. I don't think I sequenced perfectly there. The biggest obvious error that I can think of, I really should have held up. I should have tapped my mana better when I went to use my land. I should have kept up double white and 1 so that I could have played Paladin and held up Humiliation that 1 turn. Or I could have played Chwinga and Humiliation that turn. It didn't end up mattering because they didn't play anything small enough to blow up with Humiliation, but it was some lost value for sure. I will keep that in mind in the future because that could definitely matter in the future. We have 4 1-mana cards in their deck, and they're all white, so we need to keep that in mind. For what color of mana we're going to hold up after we cast an Owlbear or use our fixing or something like that. This is 2 removal spells that don't work unless we have creatures, and a combat trait that doesn't work unless we have a creature, and no green mana. This is pretty much a forced mulligan. This is better, but still bad. I think we get rid of Minthara, sadly, because Steadfast Paladin with Arcane Archery is a heck of a drug. Gain 5 life, kill whatever they block with, and then all of a sudden our Inspiring Bard is going to be a 4-mana 4/4 trample. Slam, attack, and then play Owlbear Shepherd. Or if they just block, we play Arcane Archery. If we hit a land, Inspiring Bard will be beautiful next turn. Attack with a 4/4 lifelink here, and we'll just have a huge life cushion against the Boros deck, which is one of the most aggressive strategies, so that life cushion is really nice. Unfortunately, we didn't hit a land, but we still get to play a 2/5 Owlbear Shepherd then, which is still gonna block pretty well. Tempted to attack in and offer a trade of Paladin into Battlecry Goblin. I think I'm gonna do that. Looks like we are going to take the trade. No, nice. We conditioned them with our combat trick to think we had more. The reason I wanted to go for that attack, I didn't actually want to take the trade because I'd like to keep as much power on board for this Owlbear Shepherd if I can, but I wanted to see if I could push in that extra damage there, and I did get to push in the extra damage, so that was really nice. Now we have Patriarch's Humiliation. We can blow up Battlecry Goblin, we can blow up Steadfast Unicorn. Can't blow up the Jaded Sellsword. The only time I know this works is if I do it right now, because if I wait until their turn, they could Dragon's Fire our Paladin in response, and we're only doing 1 damage. So if I really want to kill something, I can do it right now, but don't need to kill something unless they kill one of our things. So I think I just hold on to it for now. They're going to play a Monk of the Open Hand, cast another spell here to give it a +1/+1 counter. They are. They're going to play a Young Red Dragon in the Sky. Luckily, I have a 2/5 reach, which pretty much completely nullifies that card. They could attack with 6 power with this Goblin and get another token, but then I just block it and kill it anyway. Tempted to kill the Battlecry Goblin because it has the mana sink to be at least 4 power now. If they play 1 more land, they can make it 6 power on the attack. Or make it 5 power on the attack and beat my Owlbear Shepherd if I block there. So I kind of want to humiliate Battlecry Goblin. I could be wrong though, but I'm doing it. And there we go. There's the mana for Inspiring Bard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 if I give one of my creatures +2/+2 this turn. So I'll draw a card if I use the +2/+2 ability. Do I get any good attacks in? I can attack with a 4/4 lifelink, but then they just trade off and I don't draw a card, so I just don't attack. Just do +2/+2 to Bard and pass. Draw a card in the end step. Pick up an Owlbear. We have great 5 drops as soon as we hit our 5th land. And there's a Devoted Paladin. That's going to be pretty big for our opponent here. Take 8, I guess, because we'd like to keep drawing cards. Yeah, I mean, we just take 8, and then... I mean, I guess we could lose 1 creature here. And we'd still... I guess that's only if I hit a land. I have 7 power on board, so I guess I'm not drawing a card my next end step unless I play one of these creatures anyway. Any of these creatures gets me to enough power, even if I lose Inspiring Bard, so it's okay to trade Bard off, because I still have 4 power here, and then I have 4 more, that adds up to 8. So I can trade Bard off and just block Young Red Dragon. And we kill this before it gets any bigger. Down to 22. There's the land. Beautiful. I'd love to play Owlbear first because Devoted Paladin is not really getting us any damage in right now. We'll draw 2 cards by playing Owlbear. Huge value. We have double Devoted Paladin and a Flaming Fist Duskguard in hand now. Our opponent just plays a land. Steadfast Unicorn's pretty good here. It's going to be able to buff up to 5 power status. I can still block like that. Because I can, again, I can lose Owlbear and just play another 4 power creature here. They play Steadfast Paladin. Probably should have shot down the Unicorn instead of that Battlecry Goblin. Because that is becoming a much bigger issue. That was probably some poor threat assessment from me. And it's definitely coming back to bite us. Definitely get enough power by playing Duskguard Myconid. And I think those block really well because they're like high power, low toughness, and then we can play Paladins later. Make sure to hold our white mana up this time in case I draw another Humiliation. I do have 3 of them. And I will actually full control this game to pretend I have Humiliation. Draw a card. You hear something on watch. That doesn't work. It doesn't work right now because we don't have 2 mana up. That will be really good in the future, though. See what they drew into. Going to combat with Young Red Dragon and Devoted Paladin and Steadfast Paladin, threatening to give the board +1/+1. +1/+1 Duskguard still kills that. Again, I only need Paladin and Owlbear Shepherd on the board to draw a card next turn. I'll draw a card just playing Devoted Paladin, even if I just have a Sapperling left, so I could double block Paladin, but then they'll buff it. Could single block it or just let it through, basically. Just let that one through. See if they top decked a trick or if they're just going to Unicorn once here. Unicorn once it is. And another Steadfast Unicorn. I guess it doesn't really matter. It's just now I can't blow up one Unicorn and expect them to stop buffing. All right, land for turn. Not bad. Now we have the mana to play Paladin, which we need to do if we want to draw a card, and we can still hold up You Hear Something on Watch. Okay. They have 2 1/2s. They have 2 power on board. We get to attack with everybody. I'd even trade a Sapperling into a Unicorn here if they want to double block. Get them down to 9. Pass turn, draw a card. Rescuer Chwinga. That is pretty good. Alright, now I have a Chwinga just holding for instance. So no need to bluff instance. Arena will do it for me this time. Yep, that's Vigilance. Just hold You Hear Something on Watch in case something disastrous happens. But other than that, just let this combat happen like this. I can keep taking 1-for-1 trades into their creatures all day long. They're gonna You Hear Something on Watch their own creatures, then I'll You Hear Something on Watch mine, and we still win that fight. Cool. Play another Paladin. Holding up Chwinga. Attack everybody. And there's the concession from our opponent. That's going to be 2-0 to start it off. I am nowhere near as good at full control mode as Numot. Numot can do that real fast. That really slows me down. Skipping through all those button presses. I guess now would be the time to get used to it. I really don't think I can keep this. We don't have a white source. Opponent's on the play, though, so we're on the draw. How many cards in our deck are white sources? 9. 9 out of 30. A little less than a 1 in 3 chance. Need to hit that white source quickly here. I think I have to mulligan this. This is definitely better. Kind of think I get rid of Chwinga. It doesn't fit into the curve really well. We've got soldiers and then Mycon, and then we have archery to play around with. It might be kind of weird, but that's what I want to roll with here. Opponent is on the play here with a white deck. Do they have a turn 2 soldiers? They have a turn 2 steadfast paladin. Still pretty good. I've got 30 minutes per game. Just trying to see if it's worth doing full control or if that will destroy my clock. Mono white so far from our opponent. They're going to play Prophetic Prism. That's going to immediately change that. Steadfast Paladin going to be a huge life point swing here, thanks to its lifelink. But now that they're tapped out, I'm going to make sure I get my double team value before I do anything else. Then I believe I'm going to drop down an Underseller Myconid. And that opens us up to playing a Devoted Paladin next turn, potentially. Which could be pretty good. Get a solid attack in and leave our soldiers the watch up for blocks. You got it, opponent. I wouldn't be completely opposed if they were tapped out to blocking with a Sapperling and a Myconid here to just kill this Paladin. Sorry about that, but they are not completely tapped out here. They could have you hear something on watch that would ruin us. They could have Blessed Hippogriff's Tears Blessing Adventure that would ruin us. Just don't want to deal with any of that. Yeah, it wouldn't be that bad to lose this Myconid. We have 5 mana in hand anyway. It'll just take a little longer to get there. Another Steadfast Paladin. Okay, I'm definitely slamming down Devoted Paladin, although I do have the option of playing my own Steadfast Paladin and holding up Arcane Archery instead. I'd like to just make a big old 4/4 blocker. And we chip in for some damage, kind of nullify all the lifelink they've had gained here. We'll hit for 5. Unless they want to throw a removal spell at one of these. Does not seem worth it. Tears Blessing. Onto our Sapperling. Could be a thing that happens here. There's a risk we're taking. Or I guess Tears Blessing on the Soldiers of the Watch because it's also 2 toughness. Alright, no Tears Blessing. So they do not have a Blessed Hippogriff in hand. They would have absolutely used it if they did. Gotta pull out Notepad. for things I'm worried about, things I'm playing around. Alright, Sylvan Shepherd, the mirror match here, another green-white deck. Ooh, Humiliation's beautiful. That's so cheap to hold up. We can hold it up off of Myconid, and then it doesn't even look like we're holding up a trick. So we play our Paladin or our Soldiers of the Watch. Maybe play Arcane Trickery here. And we still have the mana for Humiliation. I think I attack with Paladin, holding up Arcane Archery. Okay, so we just hit there. And we play our Steadfast Paladin, and we have Arcane Archery and Patriarch's Humiliation. They're ready. Oh, I think I like playing Soldiers of the Watch a little more here. Because Soldiers of the Watch, I'm free to just block their 2/2 lifelinker with my 2/1 Soldiers of the Watch, and then not even just use a combat trick in that fight, if I want to. Then I can save my my tricks for later for more important cards. Like just the 1-for-1 trade there is so fine. And honestly, 2-for-1 trade on Shepherd is not bad either. Sapperling Soldiers of the Watch on Sylvan Shepherd here. Then if some weirdness occurs, we get to use our trick and ruin their day. You hear something on watch. They're going to give their board +1/+1 until end of turn. Then we ruin their day. Better to use Arcane Archery because we're giving +3/+3. We'll have 4 toughness. And we still have Humiliation, and we don't lose a creature because they put soldiers up front here. Yeah, so if we make it 4 toughness, it still just kills Shepherd and we lose nothing. I guess they could have their own Humiliation response. Just a big chain of shenanigans. Poison the Blade, give that Death Touch, and they draw a card. With Humiliation, I stop them from drawing the card, so I've just gotten like a 2-for-3, I think? I think that was a 2-for-3. 4 mana, tap that, 2 mana, get Paladin. Yeah, so I can play Paladin here, and I still afford the Gate to Mannerborn during their end step. Okay, we are finally trading the soldiers into the lifelinker. What we've wanted for a while. Okay, now we drop Steadfast Paladin as a 3/3 trample lifelink reach. And I will seek off of Gate to Mannerborn. Traverse the Outlands. Get lands equal to the greatest power among creatures they control. That's probably just the scoop here. Yep, that is the concession. That's going to be 3-0 for our first run in the Arena Open so far. Round 4 now. Opponent on the play again. Don't love that, but I do love this hand. One forest away from greatness. That is really awkward. I guess I'm not going to play Rasad turn 3, so I can play Gate on turn 3. I could just go Unicorn Paladin, then turn 3 Gate, hold up Chwinga. Yeah, Gate turn 1 was a really easy play until I drew the white 1-drop. Then it got a little weird. Portable Hole on Steadfast Unicorn, that's pretty great. Pretty great. Now we are going to play Paladin. Get my second green out for Owlbear. Three mana from opponent. They're going to go for Nefarious Imp. I think I will just offer the trade here rather than trying to just resod that thing immediately. Trade it'll be. They're going to scry 1, we're going to gain 2. Scry to the top, so basically 0 value off the scry. Not literally. We get to know what's coming up, but it's the same card they would have gotten even if they didn't have an imp. It's worth it to just hold on to Chwinga, because we have Owlbear and Herdgorger later, which are going to be huge to bounce and save from removal. I think it kind of is. Then we can just Rasad the imp here, and maybe it draws removal for them to get their imp back. We're not really doing anything else this turn. They did scry to the bottom that time, so they got value there. Wand of Orcus, that's a big old deal. We need to make sure they can never hit us with anything with that, but they don't have any haste in black-white. And I think if they had removal, they'd kill Rasad here. I think I need to not attack with Rasad, because if they have you hear something on watch, they shoot it down in combat here, and get their imp back, and then get us with the Wand of Orcus. I guess if that happens, I can rescue Chwinga and recast Rasad because I have the 5th mana. So we just go in and see. So they don't have you hear something on watch. That is a guarantee. They absolutely would have done that. All right, let's drop Owlbear. We've got our own You Hear Something on watch now, which is great. We need that kind of protection because, again, if they hit us one time with that, with anything with a Wand of Orcus on it, we're going to have a really bad day. I think I'm just holding up Chwinga, man. I don't think I am specializing Rasad. Now they have something instant speed. We'll find out soon enough. Definitely hold up You Hear Something on watch. I can't really afford to play Herdgorger. I could play Minthara though, and then I'm holding up Chwinga or You Hear Something on watch. I think I can play Minthara here, because then if their plan is to use instant speed removal on Rasad, then equip something with Wand and attack with it, we can You Hear Something on watch in response and kill whatever they're attacking us with. Still. So we'll still be fine. Alright, no instant speed removal. There's a Pilgrim's Eye to block with. It's a chump blocker. Pulls out any basic land. Could be a splash color here. Maybe a blue for John Arenicus or something weird. Green. Green for something. Green for Baba Lysaga. Which they do have the card types to sacrifice and get some good value on us with, so we're going to have to try to pressure them pretty hard. I might want to play Chwinga just to have more damage on board now. They're 12. Can even Chwinga and bounce a land so Minthara goes up. Whenever one or more permanents you control leave the battlefield. Yeah, that seems like it. I think we're trying to be aggro here. Just kill them before Baba Lysaga pops off. So we up our intensity with Chwinga, and we draw into Arcane Archery. We've got a big shot of killing them this turn. We attack all, holding up Arcane Archery, and You Hear Something on watch. And we still have, if this isn't going to find lethal, we still can set off traps to whatever they're going to try to use Wand of Orcus on us with. So currently they're taking 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10 if I hear something on watch, and even more if I Arcane Archery. Trample over for lethal. Guaranteed they are tapped out. This is very much gonna be game. They go to -1. And that is 4-0 in the Arena Open. Really great start here. Hopefully we can keep it up and get a 7-win run in the first try. Next game, we're getting some gems back, no matter what, if we win that. Round 5 now on the play. We're going to play a 2-1 Pilgrim's Eye off this Flaming Fist Dusk Guard. That is going to be sweet. That is going to be sweet. And with double Pilgrim's Eye, we know we get to hit both our double white for our 1 double white spell and our black source for Minthara, so our mana is just perfect. We already have double green for the Owlbear. See if our opponent plays a 1-drop, hopefully not. But trading a Dusk Guard into a Steadfast Unicorn isn't that bad. Alright, we do hit the second white source, so we're just going to Pilgrim's Eye into a swamp next turn. 3 mana for a 2/1 Pilgrim's Eye is a pretty exciting deal. Opponent is on green-white here. No play turn 2, that's really good for us. They might throw a removal at the Dusk Guard to slow us down here. That would be pretty good for them. Yep, here's something on watch on the Dusk Guard. Let's drop the Pilgrim's Eye. Grab our swamp. Third mana from our opponent. They're going to play a Lantern of Revealing, playing it nice and slow here. Ramping up a bit. Basilisk Collar. Basilisk Collar is a huge deal. That's going to be hard to beat. 2 mana to equip. It's going to give Death Touch and Lifelink, so it's going to be pretty much impossible to race and impossible to trade well. Grab another green source here. We definitely need to start hitting some gas. A little high on lands, but that's kind of self-imposed with the double Pilgrim's Eye here. Got 8 lands already. Oh, passes turn. No creature to go with the collar. We draw our 9th land. That is getting really sketchy. Send in for 3. Okay. They seem to have an instant, so they'll probably just blow up our Owlbear at instant speed here. But we'll find out. They could also just have Lantern of Revealing's ability. Just look at the top card if it's a land put into play. Otherwise, just scry one. Fine ability. Oh boy, not like this, please. We have been confronted by robbers. They get 3 1/1s on the ground, but that's still a big deal because one of those gets to be a death-touching 1/1 to deal with our Owlbear. Could actually, if they have nothing else to do, they could equip one and attack in and gain a life, and then they could equip the other so they still have a death toucher on blocks. It's like they're just going to equip one past turn. Wow, I am not a fan of our draws at all. Let's hit for 3, put them down to 12. Might throw a removal spell at one of our Pilgrim's Eyes here. Luckily, our opponent hasn't drawn into a big enough threat to throw the Basilisk Collar on to, like, matter a ton, but the second they do, I have absolutely nothing. I'm basically down 5 cards here in this matchup in terms of card advantage because of our draws. We have just 5 dead draws. 6. Well, this may be our first loss, because Ranger Squadron is big enough to take over the game with Basilisk Collar. They get to slap Collar onto it and attack with it, gain 3 and put another Squadron in their hand, and then move the Collar back onto Sapperling. I should have played a land, but I am a little on tilt. I messed up. I think we could beat Basilisk Collar, but not like this. Yep. Equip Squadron, send it in. Get another Squadron into their hand, then equip a Soldier. Kill Giant Herd Gorger. That is something. I did play a Unicorn instead of equipping a Soldier, which means I get to send Owlbear in and kill a Unicorn and a 1/1 here, maybe? Or they have, you heard something on watch again? Humiliation with a loaded board. Inspiring Bard. Let's just get a Pilgrim's Eye attack in here, I guess. We still have a tiny shot. I think we would have had a pretty big chance here if we hit more non-lands. Because there are some cards in our deck that can definitely beat Basilisk Collar. Mainly Arcane Archery is our biggest shot here. If we can Arcane Archery a Herd Gorger and trample over for 10. I think it's too late now, but if we drew it earlier, that definitely could have been a huge, huge way to just find that last bit of damage. Just needed to draw gas earlier. Still play to our outs here. It's still possible I draw really, really well from this point on and hit like Arcane Archery here, something on watch. Some combination of those cards can maybe find lethal. Rescuer Chwinga is nice. It is actually very nice because with Rescuer Chwinga, I get to chump block with a Pilgrim's Eye, put it back in hand, and stop them from gaining life that turn. So we chump block with the small Pilgrim's Eye. It's actually a pretty good one. Also thins our deck out. Pulls out another land after we do that. Okay, equip Ranger Squadron. Attack with Ranger Squadrons. I will block the lifelinker and put our Pilgrim's Eye back in hand so they gain no life this turn. Humiliation. That's big. That is a big one indeed. Kill the flyer they give lifelink to, so they again gain no life next turn. I think that's better to do that. That it is better to do that than it is to try to humiliate this 1/1 and just attack all this turn, because they still they chump with a 1/1, right? Yeah, chump with a 1/1 and that's it, and then Bard can just get killed by Unicorn. So we're not really getting any damage in by humiliating that 1/1, whereas we're kind of getting 3 damage in by humiliating a lifelinker that they're trying to attack with. If I had Arcane Archery in hand, this would be snap, humiliate that, attack all, archery for the win, but I don't. So we are saving humiliation to humiliate what they try to hit us with. Alright, Lantern of Revealing still popping off here. Kind of just have one final draw step to hit that archery, and if we do hit it, it's very possible it's lethal. I guess I have 2 more draw steps. Because I'm only taking 3 this turn, not 6. Well, then we die on board. That was a really good draw from opponent. Oh... You know, I have to chump, so I chump the bigger one. Brutal. Now there's no out. Archery cannot possibly find lethal. They just gained 5. Well, I tried my best. Am I dead on board? No. If they attack all I am, I think 4 blocks. We go Squadron, Unicorn, Owlbear. One of them. Yeah, I'm dead on board if they attack all, but maybe they won't. I may get one more draw step. Down to 2. At least we get to see what our final draw step brings us here. Alright, that's cool. Rough. No flyers. We are very dead on board. That was a brutal game. I feel like that was a matchup that was very winnable. But a game that just was not due to our draws in game. That's part of Magic, part of life. Definitely happens. That is only our first loss. We've still got several opportunities to try to get these next few wins to get into day 2. On the play here, we know we have Pilgrim's Eye to get this Minthara going. We have Humiliations that don't do anything till later, but they do things when we have Pilgrim's Eye Minthara. I'm going to keep this hand. We could have problems against aggressive decks, but being on the play helps mitigate that quite a bit. We do have quite the late game value. Humiliation is beautiful against Shambling Ghast. And I'm just going to full control this matchup because Arena has revealed that I have Humiliation, so if I full control the whole time, then that will kind of nullify the Humiliation being revealed, and our opponent will just be like, oh, they're on full control. Red-black, Shambling Ghast into Hobgoblin Captain. Alright, we might have problems. Pilgrim's Eye for a Plains here. We've got the double green, we have the black source already drawn. Yep. Pass turn. Alright, going to combat, send in the Shambling Ghast. Can't really afford to lose this creature with my Humiliations in hand right now. And they play a Prophetic Prism. They're stuck on 2 mana right now. Potentially, they could just be playing Prism to pretend that they were stuck on 2 mana. And then play their 3rd land drop. Okay. They have a single black mana up. That's not enough mana to do any removal. So I could just double Humiliation right now and get their stuff off the board, but I feel like I'm supposed to Minthara and hold up these Humiliations for later. Just play Minthara, and now we are cool blocking with Pilgrim's Eye into either of those creatures, really. Up our intensity, and we'll still have the Humiliation count to get rid of 1 toughness stuff. Just everything on their current board. Just gonna blow up our Minthara here. They are reading her. Could be Deadly Dispute, sack Ghast, kill Pilgrim's Eye. They just don't want to add to our intensity though. Karlach, Raging Tiefling. That is a Rager. Ooh, and then Thieves' Tools. Nice. That means they're not completely tapped out, but there's not going to be any 1-mana removal in black or red to kill one of our creatures. So we can now freely Patriarch's Humiliation Karlach, which is really good because not only does it kill it off the board, but it keeps it from ever specializing from grave. So that's a huge target for our removal. We draw another Pilgrim's Eye, so I'm going to play that first. Grab another land here, probably another white source, and play it for turn. Yeah, so that we have another Humiliation up if we need it. And then we humiliate that Karlach. We've got Herd Gorger next turn. They have for 1 mana here. Nothing. Cool. And now we can very freely start attacking with Pilgrim's Eyes in the sky. Could attack with Minthara as well, but then they could double block. They double block, I get to humiliate them. Didn't seem quite worth it. Oops. Rather have humiliation if they play something scarier for us. Thieves' Tools is power 3 or less. Yeah, so they could make an unblockable Hobgoblin Captain. That's going to require 2 of their mana to equip, which means they're not putting any other creatures on board, and then I can start attacking with Minthara and double Pilgrim's Eye. Plus I'm about to gain 3 life off Herd Gorger and start slamming really hard with that. I don't think they have any removal that costs 4 or less, because I think they would just kill Minthara if they did. So I think Hill Giant Herd Gorger is going to stick around. If Minthara doesn't die, then I think that means Hill Giant Herd Gorger also. It's unlikely to die. And then even if they have removal for Herd Gorger, if they don't kill Minthara first, we're still getting a bunch of power on the board off that because Minthara's intensity raises and our Pilgrim's Eyes become 2/1 flyers. As long as Minthara's on the board. They have 5 mana up now and 3 cards in hand. Prophetic Prism means it could be almost anything. Prophetic Prism and a treasure token, so they could have 6 mana up, 2 of it being any color. No telling what happens here. Probably just black and red spells, though. Ambergris is the play. When that declares an attack, they can discard their hand and draw 2. They are going to equip with Thieves' Tools. Once they move to combat, which they are doing now, I'm just going to humiliate that so they don't get to draw new hands. They have to keep whatever is in their current hand. Now they have no attacks on board. So they pass to our turn, draw for turn, Gate to Manorborn. We'll play that later. For now, we're going to go Forest into Herd Gorger. Hit for 2, they're down to 17. Back up to 21, and we pass. Should probably just full control while I'm not tapped out. I'm going overboard with it. So I believe you just click Shift and Control and it stays there until you click Control again, then you can drop it off. So we'll just Shift Control every time we untap, and if I tap out, then I'll drop off the full control. Gotta get better at doing that if I'm gonna play more competitive events like this. Grey Slad, just a 4/1 until a couple more creatures die, then it'll be a Menace Death Touch. Servok is huge, that's a problem. We don't have removal for that right now, and that is going to add a lot of damage to their board here. Don't attack though. So, don't have the mana to use Gate to Manorborn immediately, so we're not doing that. Hobgoblin Captain's gonna be first strike if they attack with multiple creatures. I'm tempted to just not even attack here. How would they kill my Herd Gorger? They'd have to double block? They have to lose Servok and Hobgoblin Captain, or they have to lose Hobgoblin and Shambling Ghast. If they lose Hobgoblin and Shambling Ghast, though, they can make Grey Slide Menace Death Touch, but then I could double block with 2 Pilgrim's Eyes. How does Thieves' Tools plus Servok work? It doesn't. because at the beginning of combat they do the plus, so I can still block things. I think I attack with Herd Gorger, because I'm going to kill 2 of their creatures, even if it will fill their grave more. Their creatures are all small enough toughness, I can go for double blocks and everything like that. So they're going to Shambling Ghast here to kill a Pilgrim's Eye instead of a Herd Gorger, which is fine. We'll up our intensity here. It's not great, but it's fine. I guess, yeah, now it's harder to double block the Menace. If Servok flips red, Servok gives Menace, doesn't it? That's so disgusting. Okay, they're going to Thieves' Tools, Hobgoblin Captain, so they start hitting us for 3 a turn. If they try to buff it, that's not going to work for them. It will be First Strike, though. But then there wasn't really a point in equipping Thieves' Tools if they buff it. Okay, yeah, it's a 6/1 First Strike. Definitely gets in for 6. Down to 15. Sends to our turn. Devoted Paladin, I like that a lot here. I am going to do that instead of use Gate to the Manorborn. They can kill Hill Giant if they double block it. They could kill Minthara if they double block her. But if I kill Servok and Greyslad, that's fine. Yeah, we attack all. Unless they have some kind of First Strike trick here that I'm not thinking of. This is a pretty good attack. I don't think there's a First Strike combat trick in this set, though. It would just be like instant speed removal. So a chump block with Greyslad, and they'll take 7. We're down to 10. We have all of our blockers up now. Pass turn. Manticore. Okay, so they have Manticore to kill Herd Gorger. It's again not terrible, unless Servok flips to Menace. If Servok flips to Menace, we're dying pretty fast, but our opponent's dying pretty fast on board as well. They just draw removal for Pilgrim's Eye. John Irenicus. Alright. We have 24 cards, they have 24 cards, so we get milled 5 first. Yeah, we get milled 5, then they're going to start drawing a card every turn. Get another big First Strike swing out of Hobgoblin Captain here. Or do they want to make Manticore really big and trade into my Pilgrim's Eye? Okay, First Strike swing it is. Servok is so nuts. I have to take it again. Down to 8. Problem here now is if they draw a red card and they flip Servok to Menace, they can have a menacing 6 power flyer. But that still kills us in 2 turns, not 1 swing, so they hit 5 non-land cards. That's a good mill. And of course we draw a land because they just milled 5 non-lands. These were all incredibly relevant draws. Well, Soldier's not so much, but Chwinga, Here's Something on Watch, Rasad, and Inspiring Bard would have all been great draws. Sad day. I have no black cards left in my deck. Play like that, or pay like that, so I still have double green if I draw. Owlbear, I guess I won't be able to afford it, because it's 5 mana. Here's Something on Watch. That's good. Blow up whatever they try to kill us with. I still don't know if we're outracing Servok, though. How do they kill Devoted Paladin? They can kill Devoted Paladin if they double block with John and Servok, in which case we get to kill Servok. Or they could double block with John and Manticore, and then we kill John and Manticore. So I believe we're sending in Devoted Paladin. If I send in Pilgrim's Eye, I'm dead on board to Manticore. Right? Because they could block with John, have another creature engrave, and then Sarevok is giving +5. I guess not quite. I think I have to hold back Pilgrim's Eye, though. Because it blocks Manticore and it's our best trump blocker. That becomes the case. Okay, so we are going to kill John. Hopefully they just go all in trying to get lethal and we just went on the crackback. Come on. Come on. We got this. Still have 21 minutes. Yeah, I can play every match on full control the whole time if I want. 30 minutes is a nice cushion. They're trying to see if they can find a way to find lethal on board. They can't. I can make chump blocks. But they can definitely make an attack that forces me into pretty bad blocks. That is for sure. Such as that. An 8 power first striker. I can die, I can chump block, or I can hear something on watch. I believe I'm supposed to hear something on watch here. I could chump block instead, and then I die if they top deck red card for Manticore. To have Manticore come in with Menace. I guess I could attack all and I force them to lose Sarevok if they didn't draw another creature, though. Yeah, like I chump, right? If I chump, this is a 5/4, this is a 7/4. We can attack both. They have to block once, they lose Manticore, or they lose Sarevok, or they drew like a 2-mana 2/2. If they drew a 2-mana 2/2, this is bad to just chump here. But I don't think... I think I can really like find lethal next turn because I'm not going to have any tricks in hand. Just find lethal on them by leaving all these creatures out. They play around menacing Manticore. I'm gonna... This could cost me the game either way I do this. But I'm going to play around Menacing Manticore for lethal next turn. Hopefully it's just not a creature in their hand, so we force them into bad blocks here. Specialized blue? What on earth does that one do? Creature instant and sorcery, so it just makes it really big. Okay, well, at least it's not specialized red. And they can still use it on Manticore to try to find lethal. Okay, land for turn. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 damage on board. They buff. They have to block here. If Sarevok is dead, they don't kill us. So they probably chump with Manticore. Kill what Sarevok buffs next turn. And then lethal them. Oh. Or we put them down to just Hobgoblin Captain on board if they block like this. Alright, your board is 1 Hobgoblin Captain. Please do not top deck out of this one. Please. I beg. I beg of you. Land off the top. Forced into a chump block this turn. Alright, our turn. Draw. Another land. There's the chump. They're down to 5. Checking out our graveyard, I hate that. And reanimate one of our creatures here? Viconia, oh Jesus. They don't have enough mana to use that well though. They have to get a 1 mana card, so they get their Shambling Ghast. Or they're dead on board. They need to play another blocker, so they have to choose a 1 mana creature. Because it's a 1 mana to exile it, 2 mana to specialize, and 1 mana to cast the card. It's a good one though, that's 2 blockers. That one will be a 3/4, Shambling Ghast is a 1/1, which means they kill one of our creatures, because Viconia does 3 to it, and then Shambling Ghast dies and gives it a -1/-1. It's actually pretty huge here. Exile Shambling Ghast, flip Viconia, cast the Ghast. Then they block each of our creatures, killing one of them. And taking no damage for the turn. Then they have no board state, but I only have 1 creature left, which means top decking removal gets them back in the game. And it's the life drain one, so they go up to 7 life. When they cast it, we go down to 6. Patriot's Humiliation would be lethal. Draw. Steadfast Unicorn also pretty much gets there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Don't have 12 if I play this. I think I'd rather bluff with it. Yeah, now they can't kill one of our attackers. Yeah, Unicorn was a great draw. Because now they don't have enough to block one with a 3/4 and give it -1/-1 to do 4 damage to it, because Unicorn just says, alright, they're 5 toughness minimum. So they just get the treasure token off the Ghast. Unicorn was beautiful. Pass turn. It's like 1 removal spell. Yep, Grim Bounty. Blow up 1 creature. We still got lethal on board because Unicorn is an absurd magic card. Draw a Ranger Squadron as well. I can buff, attack both. That is lethal already, and then if something weird happens, we still cast Ranger Squadron. 5-1 now in the Arena Open. We are guaranteed to only be down 4,000 gems if I lose the next few rounds. Next couple rounds, I should say. And we are getting ever so close to a 7-win run. Here we are, round 7. We're 5 wins and 1 loss under our belt. We're on the play rather than on the draw. So I would need to hit one of our 9 white sources in like 2 draw steps, because we don't have a draw step on the first turn to really be in it this game. I think I'm going to mulligan this hand. This is better, but still bad. I think we get rid of Owlbear because it's requiring that double green here. And hope the mono white game plan can get there. Maybe we get rid of Ranger Squadron because it's 6. Owlbear is real high impact if we do hit double green this game. I think I will get rid of Ranger Squadron. And let's see how this hand pans out for us. Okay, hit a swamp immediately so we know we have a third land at least. Swamp may confuse them and get them to play around black cards that we don't have. So we'll just play that right now, just why not? Okay, we've got Minthara coming up, potentially, which Chwinga is very good with. But it's probably better to just flash in Chwinga as a 2-mana 3/2. Especially if they're going to try to use removal on Duskguard, that would be perfect for us. We would love to see that. Rasad, that is trying to use removal on Duskguard, so no thank you. Rasad, just a 3-mana 2/2 here. There's the land we need for Minthara, and I will cast Minthara, that way when I offer the trade of Chwinga into Rasad, if they take the trade, we are upping Minthara's intensity. And they are going to take the trade. Probably do have removal for Minthara then. 4th mana from our opponents. They're going to play Servok the Usurper. Alright, we really want to draw removal for that thing. That will absolutely take over a game. For now, our 3/4 just gets in there. That's not going to block well because that becomes a 4/3. Yep, Servok can target itself. Luckily for us, a 4/1 Duskguard can block Servok and trade into it. Yeah, I mean, we saw in our last game how impressive and explosive this card is. Really needs to be dealt with. Grim Hireling, that's a big problem too. Whenever they're dealing combat damage to us, they're getting 2 treasure tokens, and they can sacrifice treasure tokens to give one of our creatures -X/-X. So if they get a single treasure token, they can really ruin our day. Kill our Duskguard. The only way they kill Minthara is with a double block here, which I'm not that opposed to. Right, they double block. I guess I'm only killing one of their creatures. Yeah, that wouldn't be great. I think I attack with Duskguard and hold up. You hear something on watch. Just hit for 4. This will work pretty poorly if they drop like Grim Bounty on Minthara here. But things were already going to be a disaster if they had 1 removal spell. Because if I just held Duskguard up on blocks and they played 1 removal spell on Minthara, they're still attacking with 2 creatures into my 1 Duskguard. I guess with you hear something on watch, we can make it not that bad. Alright, let's find out if this will resolve. Or if they're going to use some kind of trick. Blessed Hippogriff here. Deadly Dispute, okay. Well, that's actually really good for them. They get the treasure token they can use to kill our Duskguard. Grim Hireling really putting in work. You might want to bank treasure and try to kill Minthara instead, though. Probably not. Alright, Guildsworn Prowler, now they have a Death Touch blocker and Flaming Fist Duskguard. Well, that means they can't afford to kill Duskguard right now. Hit 1 green source, I love that. I think I like playing Owlbear Shepherd and passing, because then we're going to draw a card in the end step. We've got quite the board of blockers. I do generally like attacking with Duskguard, so I could play Inspiring Bard instead, buff Duskguard, send it in, maybe it trades for Guildsworn Prowler here. Then I am probably taking hits and they're getting more treasures off Hireling. I think it's kind of good to just get greedy here. Start drawing some Owlbear Shepherd cards. I suppose if Duskguard dies, we still have 8 power on board because Minthara's intensity rises. So we still attack him. Okay. And again, because Dustguard's just going to crumple to this treasure token next turn anyway. Alright, trade for Dustguard. Dustguard for Dustguard it is. 8 power on board, we draw our card and hit a forest. But I'm going to pretend that's Patriarch's Humiliation. Because I can. I wish it was Humiliation. That would be so good. Get rid of Grim Hireling before they untap. Older Ravenguard, Marshal. When it enters the battlefield, another non-token creature you control gains double team until end of turn. When it attacks, conjure a duplicate of another attacking creature to your hand. So that is another must-kill threat immediately, and oh my god, that's disgusting with Guildsworn Prowler. Because if we block, we lose one of our big creatures, and they draw a card because of Death Touch and the draw card ability, so we have to just let it happen, which means they get the treasures from Grim Hireling. Wow, this is horrific. Older Ravenguard and Grim Hireling, we have no more removal here. They went Servok, Grim Hireling, Older Ravenguard. This is a high power level deck from our opponent. You have triple Patriarch's Humiliation. I could draw that as 1 mana removal, which means I can hold it up after an Owlbear, or after an Owlbear Shepherd. Come on, Humiliation. Please, Humiliation. Alright, I've got one more chance at Humiliation here. Now they have a Guildsworn Prowler just on blocks. I don't feel like any attacks are good. Draw. Just lands for us. We're drawing a lot of cards. We're digging as best as we can. Now they're gonna have like 50 treasure tokens out. They're gonna have 4 treasures, so they have enough to kill any of our creatures after this combat anyway. I think we just didn't hit removal fast enough. That probably locks us out of the game. It's Older with Guildsworn Prowler shenanigans with Grim Hireling to kill anything even if we don't block. This is just unstoppable. Oh, kinda gotta kill Older. Kill Minthara post-combat just by sacrificing treasures. Yeah, there's no way we're still in it at this point. Even if we draw perfectly and we hit double Humiliation, it's too late. At this rate. They do kill Minthara, though. Which means it's possible we get to draw more cards. Inspiring Bard puts 5 power out. If I hit another creature, then I'll have the 8 power to draw another card. Too little, though. Their Guildsworn Prowler with Older Ravenguard has been like a 6-for-1. Grim Hireling's been like a 2 or 3-for-1. You're very funny, Arena. That's adorable. We don't draw another card in the end step. We have 2 blockers, all of which die to these Death Touchers, or the first striking Null Hunting Party. They get 2 more treasure tokens and another Null Hunting Party in hand. There is absolutely no way we win this game at this point. I can do +2/+2, but then I still have 7 power on board, which is not enough to draw the card, so we'll gain some life. I guess our best bet is to kill the Hireling. So we can only do 2 damage and shut off abilities, so at least then they can't treasure token my stuff away, but the Prowlers just shred us to pieces. Do that right now, or do I wait for combat? I guess I wait for combat. But then if they top deck removal and it's instant speed removal, they can respond by killing one of my creatures, so I can only deal 1 damage. But I'll still shut off Hireling's ability, at least, if that is the case. guess I could have shut off Null Hunting Party's ability to double team, and it's kind of like killing the second copy of their Hunting Party. Which isn't horrible. Wait, what? Whenever one or more creatures control deals combat damage to a player, create 2 treasures. That works first strike and regular. Whatever. This game's over. It's been over for a while. Now I know. Grim Hireling triggers on first strike and regular. I was okay with them getting 2, because it wouldn't be enough to kill anything this turn, so I could just humiliate in response. I guess I could still humiliate in response at that point, but like, yeah, we already lost. That was disgusting. That was absolutely brutal. Again, feels like a winnable matchup, not a winnable game though. Our opponent's deck's definitely higher quality than ours, a lot of ridiculous bomby stuff, but we have the triple humiliation, double hear something on watch in the deck, but we only drew 1 you hear something on watch in time, and that's just not enough against the 3 bombs. The older Raven Guard, the Grim Hireling, and the Saravok. We can only kill 1 of the 3. So 5 and 2 it is. We are on the play now in round 8. We really need to draw cheap creatures here. This is a slow hand. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 3-mana creatures. 1, 2, 3, 4 2-mana creatures and 1 1-mana creature. Very tempted to just keep here. Keep the count high. This is really good if we just keep hitting lands. I feel like we kind of have to mulligan though, because we don't have any guaranteed plays, and we're not playing anything till turn 4, even if we hit land. I'm gonna mulligan. This is better, so that was a good one. Get rid of Squadron. Nice mulligan for us. We have Dusk Guard on turn 2, and then we can play a 3-power lifelinking Steadfast Paladin. We've got a You Hear Something on watch as well. Null Hunter. Trade that into our 3-1 here, where they take 3 damage. They're gonna take 3 damage. I am fine by that. Threaten. Threaten humiliation here. I don't know if it's better to do that or just pretend we don't have it. Or act like we don't have it because we don't have it. If I keep making plays that look like we have Patriarch's humiliation, they might actually play around it when I do have it. So maybe it's not a good time to full control. I don't know. Pilgrim's Eye from our opponent. That could grab their off color or just another red or green source. It's going to be a plains. It is going to be a splash. Okay. Can attack both here. We have tricks if weird things happen. Oh yeah, this is going to be very good. Just win both of those fights and gain 4. Pass turn. Pulling up a Rescuer Chwinga. Raga Draga, 4/4 on the ground. We are not getting in. 2/2 on the ground isn't going to change that, so I'm just going to hold on to this for now. And we are going to draw a card in their end step. If they cast a 7 mana spell, they just like kill us. They attack with an 11/11 Raga with trample. Warriors of Tiamat. That's so bad. It's going to be an additional one into their hand when they attack with it. At least I get to trade off a Dust Guard for it. Which is not horrible. But the duplicate is going to mean that they're up a card, even if I am trading a 2-drop into it. Use our gates, and we're going to seek Patriarch's Humiliation. That would have been beautiful 1 turn earlier. It's very whatever now. I guess we get to kill this Warriors, but really need to kill these things before they double team, not after. Stop your opponent from getting value off of them. We have a Minthara with no black source this time. It is not looking good for our heroes. Round 8. Okay, the next Warriors is down. I'm tempted to hold on to Humiliation here and just take 4 to the face or trade a Chwinga into that. I think I'm just going to take 4 to the face. If I hit a black source, we can play Minthara and then flash in a Chwinga and get an additional power out of nowhere, which is very nice. Like if I top deck Swamp, I play Minthara, attack with Paladin, play Chwinga, beat Raga if they block. We don't have a Swamp though. I don't have Specialize in this deck, correct? I do not have any Specialize in this. Oh, no, I have Rasad, but I'm not going to Specialize Rasad green. Let's just play all our lands. I just keep hitting more non-black lands, then I am going to get to the point where I have to just humiliate Warriors of Tiamat. Because our opponent's just actively getting in damage and we're not doing anything. Line up the shot, just draw a card. Fair enough. I think I would still rather trade a Chwinga or something into Warriors than the Humiliation, but Humiliation's going to be useless if I do trade the Chwinga in. Oh, okay. Well, it just gave me a really easy line to drop Chwinga now. Now I know what we were saving Chwinga for. Value. Straight value. Worst case scenario, we make them use 2 removal spells. Alright, and they didn't. So we just got the Dragon's Fire out of their hand and still have a Steadfast Paladin to play next turn. Cloak of the Bats. Okay, now I will have to humiliate Warriors because I can't just block it. It is flying. And obviously I cannot block Raga well. We are down to 12. Inspiring Bard. I have enough mana to play all 3 of these cards exactly. This might be a little bold, but I think that's a horrible way to tap. I think I get in extra damage. It's not really attacking into us. Well, they are because of the Cloak of the Bat, but we'll attack back for more than they're hitting us for, and we have lifelink on board. Could Humiliation right now to play around Linorm. Or I can hold on to it, that way I can kill Whatever has the cloak on it, because if I shoot warriors right now, they can just move the cloak to Ragged Dragon and attack with that. I guess I can't shoot Ragged Dragon though anyway, because it's going to have 4 toughness. Yeah, because Humiliation's not going to be enough damage to kill Ragged Dragon anyway, I might as well just Humiliate warriors. And then sure, they can put Cloak on Ragged Dragon and attack me for 4 in the sky. But they can't afford to play a 7 mana spell and equip Cloak. So it's not like they're going to hit me for 11 in the sky this turn. So we'll just play around the Dread Linorm there. Because if they have Linorms in their sealed pool with Ragged Dragon in the deck, they're definitely playing the Dread Linorms. That could be 4 mana, put 2 counters on a creature, untap it, give it hexproof to counter Humiliation. Sylvan Shepherd, that's fine, that's whatever. We're going to throw the Cloak on that. Oh yeah, because it's haste 2. Now they're hitting us for 2 and gaining 1 to 3 life each turn. And we do not have attacks into Ragged Dragon. Down to 10. Devoted Paladin gives us attacks into Ragged Dragon. Attack with Bard Paladin here. We gain 4. Unless they have another Dragon's Fire. Find some prisoners, alright. 6 draws. They have an Arcane Archery and a Patriarch's Humiliation. Yeah, Archery is a pretty big deal. I could potentially lethal us next turn. They can play it until their next end step, I believe. Oops. Yeah, so they're definitely playing it during this combat. +3/+3 reach trample. Surprised they didn't go for Humiliation. Archery could be good too. Maybe there's something else in their hand that makes them think they're finding lethal this turn. I would certainly hope not. But yeah, Humiliation would be enough to kill Paladin this turn. Unless they're worried I have instant speed removal of my own to counter their Humiliation. Okay, go to combat. We know they have Arcane Archery, so we'll keep that in mind with how we block. I mean, it's 9 damage if they attack with both, so I think we just don't block. Alright, I cannot block that even if I wanted to, so that'll just get their 2 life there, go up to 8. They're gonna use the Archery, because if they don't use it, it's gone anyway, and that'll make their next creature bigger. If they have a cheap creature to play this turn. Yep. So we get hit down to 9, and their next creature comes with a +1/+1 counter, reach, and trample. They do have an Underdark Basilisk, so a 2/3 Death Touch, reach, trample. And a Hobgoblin Captain, oh dear. Draw for turn. Pilgrim's Eye is the draw. Pretty good, gives us our swamp now. We grab the swamp, drop Menthara, and attack with Devoted Paladin. Whoa, hold the phone. They exile my swamp? Oh my god. Well, I mean, the play this turn is still Pilgrim's Eye, so it's not like I punted. Still, that's the best play we have this turn. Wow. Sick. Sick, you find some prisoners. Now all I can do to cast Minthara is get Myconid, so I'm just down a card this game. Oh, that's disgusting. I'm just slowly dying to this Cloak of the Bat. That the only thing I can try to attack with. Trade another Death Toucher. Could hold it back, waiting to draw like a Steadfast Unicorn or something, and then it's holding down their 3-power creatures from attacking us, their Hobgoblin Captain, because that'd be a 3/1 first strike. I already think they're probably just sending it in the sky each turn with the Cloak. Alright. Because yeah, in order to have first strike with Hobgoblin Captain, they would have to attack with Raga Draga, and I don't think they want to attack with Raga Draga. Unless they play a 7-drop and get the huge +11, or +7/+7. They have to attack with 6 power, so Hobgoblin Captain attacking alongside Shepherd does not have first strike, and then we have really easy blocks against that. Yeah, even without Paladin, we have great onboard blocks for everything except whatever has the Cloak or the Bat on it. Alright, Shepherd's gaining 2 life again. Some pretty solid rolls from Shepherd. We are down to 7. Already used that. We'll go to our turn. Humiliation. Can kill Raga Draga, and then... Wow, do I have some attacks. They have no cards in hand, so we know it resolves. So I can attack with all my 3-power creatures. Well, they haven't used their gate yet. Guess they could draw a combat trick. They did not draw a combat trick. Send in our attacks, they trade into the life linker. Go down to 7, we go up to 10. I was gonna say archery would be a big draw for us, find us lethal next turn, but they used our own archery against us, they exiled that too. Swamp, Humiliation, Archery were actually really targeted exiles. That's just very bad for us. Alright, well, whatever they drew here, it's not a creature they wanted to just slap a Cloak of the Bat onto, at least. I'm surprised. I don't know why they wouldn't just slam that down and throw a Cloak on it. Well, they gave me a glimmer of hope, which was incredibly rude of them. Because they could have just played that pre-combat, thrown the Cloak on attack for 7, forced me to chump with Pilgrim's Eye here. But they decided to give me hope and think that, oh, they don't have a creature good enough to just slap Cloak onto. Secretly they did. Just want to be rude. Ooh. Exactly 8 mana, so I can't double buff right now, which means I can't get in with anything. I play Unicorn and buff once Pilgrim's Eye isn't big enough to attack into Shepherd and my ground troops aren't big enough to attack into Herd Gorger. So I just play Unicorn past the turn, ready to try to double pump next turn, but we just die in the sky. It's too slow. I genuinely think that we would have won this game if our swamp didn't get exiled, because we would have had a Minthara here. Our intensity would have risen on that last combat, or at the very least we'd have another creature on the board and Unicorn gets in bigger swings. I think 100% if we had a swamp in our deck we'd win this game. Shoot the Pilgrim's Eye. Now they can put the cloak onto Herd Gorger and they guarantee that they are hitting us for 7. Still not lethal yet. I could buff with Unicorn, but it only makes it 2 toughness. It's not big enough to survive. So hit us for 7 in the sky, or just attack both, and just attack Herd Gorger on the ground. What? And another older Raven Guard, and now Herd Gorger has double team. So they get another Herd Gorger into their hand. They can't afford to play it immediately though, so if we somehow find some kind of combat trick, we've got one final turn to find lethal. I think our only combat trick left is you hear something on watch, which we would just use triple Unicorn instead. I don't have the mana to double Unicorn and use you hear something on watch, so I don't think I have any outs here. So sad, I cry every time. Rasad doesn't do anything because they can just give haste to whatever they play this turn. I mean, I guess it kills one of their blockers, but they're at 11 life, so it's not lethal. Yep, this game straight up came down to you find some prisoners out of all cards. Yeah, nothing we can do about it here. Five and 3 it is. Still a very respectable run in the Arena Open event. It is the most competitive entry-level event on Arena, so playing against a bunch of people trying their absolute hardest, competing for big prizes, still getting a 5 and 3 run, and I think most of our losses, I think pretty much all of our losses were just some really bad luck in different ways. Maybe if I'd found some better lines, sequenced better earlier in these games, I could have found a little bit of extra damage, found lethal. But brutal, brutal luck in our 3 losses here. The triple bomb, Servok, triple bomb, Servok, 4 mana 3/2 that spits out treasure tokens, and that other thing. What was the other thing? Oh, older Raven Guard. We got bombed out by Raven Guard twice. That deck, we just got mega bombed. It's just going to happen to pretty much any deck. And then our first loss, that was our second loss. Our first loss was way too many lands against the Basilisk Collar deck. And then the final loss legitimately came down to they exiled our 1 swamp so we couldn't cast our Minthara in hand. If we could cast Minthara, we would have had enough damage throughout that game to definitely close it out there. Maybe even before they even drew older Raven Guard, but definitely on that last turn when we drop Rasad and buff the board. Absolutely could have found lethal there. So really sad losses, but at least we get a 5-win run, a very respectable run, if nothing else, even though it doesn't bring us to the day 2, which means, unfortunately for me, I have to play some more. Baldur's Gate is sealed. Well, that is going to end today's video, but that will not end my attempts at the Arena Open. I am going to record 2 more of these, so you'll get at least 2 more Arena Open videos. And if I day 2 in either of those, then you'll also be getting an Arena Open Day 2 video. So that is going to end today's video, but as always, If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more like it, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. All the good things that the YouTube algorithm know to send some more of these videos to your notification and recommended feeds. And as always, just thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.